I used to live in the future. For my 20 and something years, I was always trying to live in the future. When I'm earning uh, that much of money, I'm going to be happy because of this. When I find my Prince Charming, I'm going to be happy. And one day I realized it was all about building it and not living in the future.
Welcome back to the Yeti Voice podcast. This week I spoke to Adriana Gavazzoni out of the south end of Brazil. She is a powerful female lawyer and author. She is an incredible human being who has been on her own journey, flying her own flag and marching to the beat of her own drum since day one. I would love for you all to make yourself a cup of tea, sit down and listen to what Adriana has to say.
It's quiet because it's early in the morning, and this is my office at home. We are doing a lot of home office right now because of COVID, and cards are not working in Brazil. We are talking to judges online through the telephone. We are not going to courts, it's all closed.
Wow.
Yeah. I would like that to remain this way. It's more practical. Judges are more polite in this way because they are being recorded. So
Okay.
I would like that
Right.
to be this way after COVID.
That's pretty interesting. Look, I was talking recently to a gentleman who's doing concerts online now, which is weird to me because you don't have the buzz of the audience and that whole thing going. So like I know being in a courtroom is not exactly a performance in the same sense, but surely the atmosphere difference is there. Do you feel that?
Uh, Sometimes I resent the presence of the judge, but here in Brazil, the procedures are different from the United States. I'm a corporate lawyer, and we don't have the same debate that you have for all procedures. That just happens in criminal cases. So for me, it's just talking to the judge. And when it's time, I have to present my case for three judges when we appeal, something like that. So sometimes I miss the physical presence, but usually it's much, much better because they are very arrogant, the judges in Brazil. And as they are online, they are being recorded, they tend to be politer.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's much better. It's all a play. They are acting, but it's better for us.
Yeah, at least they're acting polite.
Yes, they're acting polite.
So I'm interested. I've met people from a lot of places in the world, but I've never met anyone from Brazil itself. I mean, people from the surrounds, sure. I'm very curious about you being a female lawyer, this poised person in this profession that, in a lot of places in the world, it's predominantly men. What's it like for you?
Well, I've been a lawyer for 30 years. Nowadays, there are more female lawyers in Brazil than male lawyers. But think when I decided to be a lawyer, I was 13, 14. I was very young, and it was a male world. When I went to college, 20% were women, the rest men. It was a male world. You have to be tough, you have to fight a lot, but I don't regret any day of being a lawyer. I love that. I'm pretty tough myself,
Yeah.
but you have to learn.
That's so cool. It's such a dog eat dog profession. I mean, you see different sides of it from, like you were saying, the difference in actual practicing. You get like the law the law where you're like in there arguing and there's all that tension, and then you get the more subtle stuff, which is often for, I mean, if you don't know what you're talking about, it's often a lot scarier because it's bigger deals, a lot more at stake, and it's like, ah, you know,
Yes, main about corporate law, you have not only your client in your hands, but you have to worry about thousands of employees sometimes, and their future are in my hands, and that's a lot of responsibility. It's pretty complicated when you think it's not just a client. There are many, many consequences for a defense I do. But in the end, I think when you do a good job and a job that you love, nothing is tough, nothing is complicated.
yeah, it's all about the love of what you're doing, right?
Yes.
At that
Mm,
young age of 13, what was it about law that made you fall in love with it?
I'm a voracious reader. Since I was a kid, I love stories and I love to read. And I was vacationing, and libraries in my city were closed. It was night. Everything there was in my father's shelter, I've read, except for a book. So I decided to get that book, and it was a legal book. It was a code. So I start to read that, and I love the idea people had rules. They have to follow some rules. And I asked my father, "What's that about? What is this?" And he said, "Oh, that's a book for lawyers." And I told him, "I'm going to be a lawyer." He said, "Okay, you are just a kid. When you grow up, you are going to decide." No, 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 no. I do. I want to know better because I'm going to be a lawyer. And from that moment on, my father supported me. He always supported me. I'm lucky. I have a wonderful father, wonderful parents. And he told me it's a male world. You are going to face many obstacles. But if you really want to be a lawyer, you have my entire support.
What a good man.
So it was about a book. It's always about books. Books open your mind for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had the support system and you had that broadened horizons from all the reading you were doing. So you were right set on your way to become this amazing person you've become today. And you're writing your own books as well.
Yes, my first book was a legal book. Being a professor for, I've been, no, I'm not a professor. I'm a retired professor now, as I don't have the time anymore. But I was a professor for 10 years. And my first book was a legal one. But I always wanted to write novels and fiction. So now I just complete my fifth book, and I love that. When I retire from law, and I don't know if it's going to happen before I'm 80, I'm going just to write.
That's fantastic. What is it about, like, what I'm trying to figure out here is how did you get that self-belief, right? Because a lot of people say I would love to write a book. But to actually move from that, like being a lawyer is quite an intellectual space and then writing is quite a creative space. What's that shift been like for you? Because you seem to occupy both at the same time.
No, law and writing books are basically the same stuff because when you are a lawyer, you have to tell stories. It's not fiction. You tell the stories of your client. You embellish it a little bit. You show to the judge, but it's all about stories. Sometimes it's very embellished, but when you write, it's almost the same. You just have to imagine. You just have to use your imagination, and I have attention deficit. That's something complicated in some fields because you can keep your attention in one
Yeah.
thing, but on the other hand, it's all about a huge imagination. I imagine things when I'm shower, in driving. I can imagine things. So it's similar to being a lawyer, main of all in Brazil, because our defenses must be written before presented to judge. You don't go orally in front of the judge. First, you write, and then you present your story, and then you are judged. And only if you have to appeal, you go in front of the judge to stand your case. So it's being a writer, and just a little bit more of imagination, and you have a book.
Yes, yes. So tell me about your book, Sketches of Life. I mean, obviously we want people to buy it and to read it themselves. So what is the story behind that? It's World War Two.
No, Sketches of Life is my first novel. It is the story of a character born between the two great world wars, and it has a historical background, but it's basically an action and mystery book. One of the main characters is a sniper. She becomes a secret. She has lost everything during the Second World War, and she becomes a secret agent and a sniper. So it's basically action and adventure. She travels the whole world chasing criminals. And my fifth book, it's almost ready to be released, continues this story. But this character, she comes from my trilogy. I have a
Yes.
trilogy called Hidden Motives, and the grandmother of one of the main characters was a was a very special person. So I decided when I finished the trilogy to write about her life. She's half American, half French, and she must escape France after the German occupation to go to United States to face a new life, a new country, and many challenges. So it's all about adventure.
And it's all about those strong female characters as well.
Yes, strong female characters. I was raised by a very strong mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just believe in the strong females. I don't believe in weak females. It's hard for me to write about very fragile persons, men of all, women, because I've met many, many strong women during my whole life. And I admire strong women. I think we have to face a lot to have to fight for our space, to conquer our space. So I believe in strong women.
For sure. I mean, I wouldn't be here at all if it wasn't for them. I mean, my mom, my aunt, my nan. I mean, they raised me really, really beautifully. They incredibly strong women who have such diverse interests and such amazing successes of their own. My sister as well. I mean, she is the epitome of a strong woman. She's got her doctorate. She's mentally strong in that way, but she's also like massively creatively strong, which is beautiful. And so for me, this message of the importance of strong females, it's so important, because those women that influenced my upbringing, they were raised by strong women, and it just passes on. And some women don't have the luxury of being raised in that way. So for you to influence them through your work and through your podcasting and through your writing of your books, I mean, that's a beautiful thing to be able to do. You're just widening that sphere of influence to raise up the next stage of women.
Yes, and I always try to support women. I think women usually they fight against each other and they can't understand that. I always try to empower women because if you know the strength we have, we would conquer the world. Uh, fight with against each other is the most stupid thing. So I try to empower my former students. I have former students working for me, talking to me. I try to help them, even if they are not my students anymore, because I want them to succeed. I want to see them being recognized by their intelligence, by their talent. And if I can help a woman, I'm always helping. I'm the contrary of most women in my country that fight against each other for many different reasons that I don't understand. But I have a powerful, strong sister. I have my mother who worked her whole life and is very independent. So when I can put those ideas in my friends, my colleagues, and women's minds, I try to tell them they must be independent. They must face life for themselves.
Yes. It's so important. Just forge your own path, doing what you love, what's important to you, what makes sense to you.
Yes, I try to make my own way during my whole life. I'm 52 years old, and it's a long way. And during my whole life, I don't know if it was because I had all this family support, but I just did the things that I love to do. I never tried to live a life that people expected from me. Society, I don't have kids. I decided early I wouldn't be a mother. I've been to three marriages. I decided only passion interested me. I didn't want a warm life. I decided I would be a lawyer despite of everything. So we have this power, not just women, but human beings in general. You have to put in your heads in some point of your life that you just have one life.
Yeah.
And you have to do your best to live this life. And one day to say, okay, I live a great life. I have no regrets. I did what I thought was the best for me on that time. And now, uh, when the end is near, as my way the song says, you are going to be happy because you did all you could.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an amazing amount of courage that you have to do that and to stand up and just do what's right for you. To my knowledge, when people make a stand and do things in a different way, there is a lot of, I suppose you could say, stupid questions, but there's also a lot of backlash that you might experience. People telling you, but you said you decided not to be a mom. People going, why wouldn't you want that, and trying to pressure you potentially. Did you experience that?
A lot from
Yeah.
my mom, from my mom also. My mom was very disappointed because she said, my kids are the happiness of my life. And I said, okay, it's okay for you, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
I love kids, but I don't want to raise them. And society pushes you a lot to be a mom. Oh, you're going to be incomplete. And I say, no, 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 no. I'm very complete. I'm happy. My decisions made me a happy person. I can say I'm a happy person. How many people you meet that can say I'm happy? They are always waiting to be happy in the future when something happens, when they are going to be famous, when they are going to have money. No, I'm happy now. Every day a little bit because I just do what pleases me.
That's beautiful. It's a lot of strength. It's a lot of resilience as well. I mean, I'm asking these questions because there are going to be people watching this who need a bit of your strength and need a bit of your resilience and are going to go, how can I do that too?
It's easy. I think you need more courage to waste your life. Imagine you don't know when you are going to die. You just know that will happen for certain. And if you are waiting for the future, it's a waste of your life. So you just have, I want to be a writer. People always ask me, how I become a writer? Start to write. Oh, but if it's not good, I would like to prepare my, start to write. If it's good, if it's not, it's what you want. Don't start writing thinking about people are going to judge my work. You are never going to publish anything if
Yeah.
you think people are going to judge you. And prepare yourself to be judged in every single choice you do in your life. Having kids, oh, she decides to be a mom and she doesn't have a career, people are going to criticize you. Not having kids, oh my god, she's not going to be complete. Travel the world with a backpack, oh my god, he's crazy, he's just like a gypsy. uh, Everything you choose you're going to be judged. People are judgmental. You just need the courage to start what you want,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
mean,
never too late.
you're gonna do anything, right? You're gonna do something. So why not choose what you're gonna do instead of having it chosen for you?
Life is going to choose for you easily if you don't take the leash in your hand. Life
And
must
yeah,
be tamed
it pushes you on, and it's gonna push you in a direction, right?
in a direction that pleases society, not
Yeah.
yourself. So you're going to be depressed because you can't reach the goal society imposed to you. And I decided I'm not going to be a depressed person. Every single morning when I wake up, I think, 24 hours to try to be happy at least a little bit. Let's wake up and let's be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a key word you said there is a little bit every day. It's not, I think a lot of the time, and I find this is in American culture especially quite strong, where people think they have to be happy all the time. And if they're not happy all the time, there's something wrong. When really, like, if you're just content and you have ups of happy and some lows and then back to just content, that's quite good. I mean, I think that's pretty much the stasis of life, isn't it? That's that balance that you get.
How do you know what happiness is if you are not sad? You must experience every feeling to know the difference.
Yeah,
There is no
exactly.
such a thing as, oh, completely happy all the time. No, you have some difficulties. You have to face some obstacles life is going to impose, but the happiness of overcoming all that, you only experience if you have the obstacles.
It's a beautiful thing to be aware of, but to actually live it and do it, it's a hard thing to do. And you're doing it with such grace and such ease. It's not common. A lot of people have a lot more of a hard time with it than you have.
The problem is maybe I'm getting old and wiser because when I was younger, I used to live in the future. For my 20 and something years, I was always trying to live in the future. When I'm earning uh, that much of money, I'm going to be happy because of this. When I find my Prince Charming, I'm going to be happy. And one day I realized it was all about building it and not living in the future. If you want to make money, you have to work for that. There is no miracle. If you want to have a prince charming, you have to be a princess for that. And I'm not a princess. I have many issues. I have many difficulties the other person has to face to love me. So it's even love you have to build.
Yeah.
You can expect fall in love and oh, that's going to make me happy. No, make yourself happy and then find love and build that.
Yeah.
I learned that after three failure marriages. I've been married now for 12 years, and I say every single day we are putting another brick in our wall,
Yeah.
building a relationship. It's not perfect, but it's very good because we both try.
Yeah.
So we are going to have disappointments. That's normal, but uh, disappointments are in every corner if you're expecting too much. But if you decide to have something good, you are going to build. It's the same for being a writer. I don't have the perfect idea when I start to write. I have some ideas and then I decide to write. And ideas will come because I decided to start.
Yeah. Exactly. And you start that creative flow, which I think is always going to have to be that first step of faith that you take in the process.
Yes, faith in yourself.
Absolutely.
You
How
have to
did
believe in
that
yourself.
how did that happen? Not you mean faith in yourself doesn't just happen though. I mean it was
No.
either developed or maybe your parents helped you with that. Where did your faith in yourself come from?
From hard work in myself, from knowing myself for 30 years of therapy because I have attention deficit and I didn't know. When I was a kid, that was not a common thing. Nobody talked about that. I knew I was different and I have attention deficit with hyperactivity. I'm always on the move. I'm unstoppable. So my parents have a difficult time with me, but at the same time, they thought I was very smart. So they enrolled me in many courses. I was always learning something. I'm very curious. I always trying to learn something new. And of course, I had doubts about myself. When I started being a lawyer, I was 21. Who can be self? Who can be sure when you have 21 years old? I was too young, but I started to observe people and successful people and to see they were always insecure of something,
Yeah.
but they believe in others. So I decided what I'm doing good and I know how to do, I'm going to believe. What I don't do well, I'm going to learn better. That's the point. The point is you always have to learn. Nobody knows everything. You can say one day in your life, oh, I'm going to stop learning. It's impossible. It's impossible. Being a lawyer, you must learn every day. Uh, the cases are different. The clients are different. The stories are different. You must learn. Uh, Speaking a foreigner language is a matter of learning a word per day if you want to speak a foreign language. Writing, my first book and my last book are completely different. I've learned a lot, but I had the courage to start to expose myself with a not perfect book. And maybe I believe in myself because I stopped believing in perfection and start believing trying. Try, make mistakes, try again until you reach perfection.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. And you're letting people join you on that creative journey and that learning journey. If they read your first book and they read your writing now, they'll be able to appreciate your growth and be inspired by that as well.
Yes, and I think if I read my first defense and my last one, it should be the same because It really is a cliche, but the more you practice, the more perfect you're going to be.
Yeah.
For working out, for skating, for singing, for everything you have as a goal in your life. You just have to practice. I think there is one problem in the world now, and it's general. People want magic. They want, oh, I'm going to be famous. Someone is going to discover me in the middle of the street and say, hey, you are a great writer. I know, I have this feeling. No, you can't. You have to publish. You have to be reviewed, good reviews, bad reviews, mean reviews. And one day, if you keep doing what you are doing and improving, maybe you are going to be famous. But it's not just about being famous, getting money. It's about the journey, the pleasure of the journey.
Yes.
And I see people frustrated because they all want the trophy. They don't want the journey to get it. And the pleasure is the journey.
Yeah.
It's what makes your heart beat faster. When I'm writing, I think maybe when I'm dead, someone is going to be reading this. It's great. So I have a pleasure to know something from me. It's going to be there.
Yeah. Exactly. And
And
it's not just one small group. Like you said, it's generations into the future that could pick up your books and read and escape and have that emotional journey with you, but also be inspired by your characters and the stories that they're playing out. I think it's really beautiful, eh? In print
yes,
as
and
well.
and the pleasure, for example, my first novel talks about a very hard subject that is child abuse.
Mm.
One of my readers told me it was a way for her to heal herself because she was abused. And she said, "What you wrote made me heal. I could heal through your words." So that's important. That's a pleasure, better than money. To know you could help a human being.
That's
And
huge.
uh, but as the world is all about money nowadays, it's all about what I'm going to buy next, and not about being. The world is about buying, not being, I think. And I don't know if somebody can be happy just think about buying because you can buy everything in this world. There
Yes.
are tons of things even millionaires can buy. And if you are worried about being, it is easier.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a slippery slope just buying and buying and buying because, you know, after you've bought every object, then what's left to buy? What are you going to buy? People? Are you going to buy their time? Are you going to buy their influence? And then things get real sticky.
It's the time to build yourself so people can love you the way you are, to respect yourself, to discover you can please the whole world, but who you can please is going to love you for your true self. You don't need to disguise, you don't need to pretend being another person. You don't need to have things to be admired, because if someone admires you for your car, your home, uh, if you don't have that, are they going to admire you, or are they going to disappear of your life?
Yeah.
So I prefer to build solid relationships based on feelings.
Yes. And you've got to know yourself to do that, right?
Yes, it's a long process to know
Yeah. I
ourselves.
don't think it ever stops. I mean, you will be learning about yourself until you die. Probably.
And if you do that, when you learn something you don't like, you are going to change that in yourself if you don't like, not for somebody else. Uh, when you try to change yourselves to please others, it's not going to last. It's just like diving. I used to dive. Uh,
Cool.
I dive with tanks, but sometimes I dive with just my lungs.
Yeah.
It's impossible to stand a long time underwater when you are just having the air in your lungs. It's the same when you try to be different to please people. It's not going to last. You're going to suffocate at some point.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think knowing that is one thing, but knowing who you are in the first place can be so confusing for some people. We're brought up in a society where, you kind of have the case where every generation likes the same type of music as their generation. Everyone kind of blends their identities into one. And I think for a lot of young people, it's becoming harder and harder to kind of go a little step further and find their own identity in that way. I don't know if you can resonate with that at all.
Yes, like the song "Another Break in the Wall." Uh, I think it's more complicated when you are younger. Uh, Teenagers, they want to belong. They don't want to face who they are. They just want to belong. It's the worst part. They want to be part of a group. That's okay, but when you get older, you must forge your own identity. I've been there. I was a teenager. I want to belong, but I was always the kind of rebellious kid. Also, I always heard from my whole family, even my parents, "You are nuts. No, no, no. You are crazy. No, where do you get those ideas? No, can you be just a regular kid?" I couldn't. So uh, I have to decide to make my own group of friends uh, with people just like me that believe in the same things. My think just one example. My father, before meeting my mother, he was almost becoming a priest. He's very religious, very Catholic, and when I went to the college, I was really young, 17, and I discovered a whole new world outside Catholic religion, other beliefs, and I was experimenting in many religions and philosophy. And my father was desperate. He said, "Oh, you are an atheist." I said, "No, no, no. I'm just trying to figure out God. Okay? It's not, it's the contrary. I'm just trying to know the real God, not the vengeful and the one who sent plagues, because your religion make me crazy, because oh, your God is so good, but he sent plagues and he's revengeful. And I just can't figure out who he really is or she really is." And my father thought he had committed some mistakes in raising me on that time. Nowadays, I'm agnostic. I believe in God as a form of energy.
Yeah.
But I had to experiment and I have to heard from the world I was crazy. So if you try to be yourself, it's you're going to face many challenges, but I can guarantee, I give a certificate of guarantee. In the end, you're going to be happier than anybody else who follows the rules.
Where did you get that rebellious streak from? Was it your mom or your dad that gave you that rebellious streak?
I never know. I suspect it comes from my mom, because my mom was a child from 10, a huge family, Italian family, 10 kids, imagine. She was in the middle of those. I think she's the fifth. She was very repressed. So her personality never came out. And she has this idea she must keep a face to raise kids. But I suspect it comes from my mother. If she had the right parents, like I had, if they gave her space uh, to show to form her own personality, she would be the rebellious side of the family. I'm pretty positive. My grandmother, from my father's side, she was a professor for 40 years. In that time, she used, they didn't have cars. She used a horse, 20, I don't know in miles, but in kilometers, 20 kilometers. It's a long journey to teach
Yeah.
while people were at home having kids. She had kids. No, no. I don't know the word in English. Anti-conceptive. I think I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had kids, but she left them at home and was outside the home teaching the whole day. So it was great. So maybe that come from those women.
Yeah. And your husband had a similar experience when he was growing up. I mean, what was his family like compared to yours?
He's just nuts like me.
Okay.
He also has attention deficit. We are always losing keys on the house, and he was the rebellious in his family. He was the different one.
Yeah, yeah. So you found each other. That's a beautiful thing. Through that,
Yeah,
and
you have
rebellion
to
leads to
find
good things.
someone similar to you to love. Differences repels time.
Uh, Probably attracts in the beginning, but as you say, over time, not so much.
Yeah, it's very attractive in the beginning and very disappointed because we need to respect people that are similar to us. So, of course, I was attracted for some time in my life for very peaceful man, very calm, because it's something that I don't have. So it's the difference. But with time, I was always pushing them to be more like me. And if you don't accept someone for whom they are, it's the recipe for unhappiness.
Yes. Yeah. I believe that completely. Just allowing them to be who they are. I mean, you're on your journey to, be your authentic self. They probably are as well.
Yes. And as I said before, you can't stay a long time in not being yourself.
Hmm. It's a hard thing to keep up that facade, that rigmarole. What area of Brazil did you grow up in?
South Brazil. It's a colder place in Brazil. We don't have snow, but it's colder. We arrive to 5 Celsius negative degrees, and it's colonized by Italians and Germans. So there we are blonde, green or blue eyed, very fair skin, and Brazil is a huge country.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
just like United States, many immigrants here from like every part of the world. South Brazil is more. It was colonized by the Europeans. Many Germans, Polish, and Italians. My family is 100% Italian.
Oh, wonderful. It's really cool. It's a whole melting pot. It's like so many places in the world where everyone is just coming in and influencing the culture. It's quite interesting time.
Yes, I love the way Brazil and the United States are because they are countries with many with a lot of diversity because of that, because of the immigrants, because of the mix. and Brazil is mixing a lot now. It's hard to say uh, where you come from. The new generations are very, very mixed.
Yeah, it's quite a beautiful thing. What was the main sort of cultural aspects of growing up there? I mean, when I think about Brazil, I think about carnivals, I think about extravagant parties, amazing dresses and makeup and masks and things, and I think about football.
Yeah, you think about Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is a very touristic city. It's beautiful there. But South Carnival is not a party to go out and dance. It's a party to stay home and rest, for example. Uh, People in South are more about cultural things like theater and classical music,
Cool.
and center there is Rio is more about huge parties. Brazil and South love together to eat for barbecues. Our barbecues are different from yours. We make tons and tons of meat, and we gather people to eat that and to talk. Uh, we love together. We love to have friends around the table in South. In the rest of Brazil is more about music. In Central Brazil and Northeast is more about music, carnival, samba. We don't have samba in South. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know how to dance samba. I know how to dance tango because the city I was born is a neighbor of Argentina.
Okay.
So tango is an influence, a bigger influence than samba. But we appreciate all that. People from South travel for other places where samba, where we can have a different carnival.
Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful thing. It's lovely when you have those different pockets of culture so that you have a place that feels like home for everyone, just regardless of what you enjoy.
And there is another thing: Brazilians, we love foreigners. We are very open to foreigners, independent of the region. Wherever you go in Brazil, foreigners are going to help you, are going to try to make you feel at home. We really love the contact with tourists, with people of other countries. We are very open. And a Brazilian will always invite you for their homes. You are going to be invited for a dinner, for a barbecue, and you are going to feel you met that person for your whole life and you just met.
That's a beautiful thing. That inclusivity and that excitement to see. Some people are threatened by differences, and some people are excited by differences.
I'm the kind of person who during my whole life I've searched diversity. I love to travel. I love to travel abroad. I love to experiment. My husband says if there is something completely different in a menu, it's what I'm going to have. And that's true. When I travel, I want to try dishes from that country. I'm never going to a Brazilian place abroad. No, I have that at home. I
Yeah.
want to know what you are eating, what is good in your culture, because I love to cook. Who loves to cook loves to experiment flavors, different flavors, and different stuff. I've never had the courage to experiment insects. It's a
Mm.
little bit disgusting, in my opinion. But snakes, I had. I had
Yeah.
snakes. I had frogs.
It's
So
good to experiment.
it's good. It's good. It's really good. I love flavors. I love different flavors.
Oh, I love it too. We went to Thailand a couple of years back, and it meant we were offered some very strange things, and we tried most of them. Most of the things that didn't try crawling away from us again, we tried, and it was really interesting, really amazing flavors. I mean, some of it I still think I'm slightly addicted to some of the food over in Thailand, but I'll have to go back.
I love Thai food. The spices are amazing, are really amazing. But you have to try if uh, for one reason. You can't say you don't like if you never try. So
Exactly.
try and say, I don't like. No, no, I tried before and no, I don't like. But if you never try, how can you say I don't like?
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. I have a friend who has a strange ritual, and he's quite a fussy eater, but every 2 years he will sit down and he will eat everything he doesn't like, just in case his taste has changed and there's something else that he now likes. You know how your taste
Never did
evolves.
that because I think I like pretty much everything. there, there is not one thing I can say, no, no, I hate that, I can't eat.
Yeah.
I can eat almost everything. So it's a nice ritual, but as I can eat everything, I don't think it's going to change much. Maybe I'm going to like better.
Have you come across a thing called durian fruit?
No.
Durian's a fruit that we spent quite a bit of time in Thailand with locals there, and durian's this quite a big fruit. It's a bit spiky on the outside, but it smells like and I'm not being rude. This is actually, if you Google durian fruit, you'll see it smells like a dustbin. It's like a dirty dustbin. It has this
Really?
crazy strong, yeah. And it tastes a bit like a dustbin. You think a dustbin would taste, if a really dirty one. But there are people who love this stuff. There's durian candies and chip flavors, and I had some ice cream flavored with the stuff, and I was very deeply unhappy.
It's dark. It's dark. Is it dark? I'm
It's like a dark yellow, orangey kind of color on the inside with like a
um,
green husk on the outside. It's
no,
very
because
strange.
we have a very popular fruit here in Brazil called açaí, and
Oh
it
yeah.
tastes, in my opinion, it tastes like earth. But people like people enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, I'm familiar with acai. Yeah, I agree with you. It does taste a bit like sand,
Yeah.
Um,
It's not one of my favorite fruits, but people love that here in Brazil. And I say, it does like eating earth, eating something like dust. And they say, no, it's amazing. Okay. So I don't know anything about that fruit.
if you come across it, give it a try. I mean, I tried it. It's something that I don't think I will ever like. It's definitely a very niche flavor, but give it a try. Like it sounds like you're. I mean, I don't even like blue cheese, so who am I to judge, right?
I love every kind of cheese in the world, even those there are that have that smell that is unbearable.
Yeah.
I love. I close my nose and I eat. I
My
love.
fiance, she loves that stuff as well. She eats the whole lot. I mean, like blue cheese, and the Germans have this crazy thing called Handkäse, I believe. I don't know if that's what they actually call it, but it's like yellow on the outside, and it's like the most pungent cheese I have ever smelled in my entire life. Like, I mean, the neighbors know when she's eating it. It's crazy.
How how do you call this cheese?
It comes in like a little square block, and then you just sort of slice it up and you have it with like bits of bread or crackers or something like that. But it's the strongest thing
Yeah,
I've ever smelled.
yeah, I know because I love and I love to try, and I've tried some that were the smell was terrible, really, really, really unbearable. but the taste was amazing. So you have to overcome the smell.
When is your fifth book coming out? You said it was soon.
Soon, because I decided to change a chapter. I really was not pleased with that chapter, and I'm changing it. So I think one more week I'm going to send for my editor, and then it's going to be ready. 1 month, I think, in the end of May, beginning of June.
Very cool. It's very cool. It's an exciting thing. Do you do launches and things like that when you release books?
Usually, I release it quietly, just spread the word in social media, and then after some time I do a release, a public release. But now with COVID, I should have released my second novel in Portuguese in Portugal, but COVID came and all was canceled, and we have to wait. It's a phase,
It's a
it's
really
going
hard
to
one.
pass. It's not going to last forever.
Yes, I agree. I mean, it's just one of those things that we have to battle our way through while it's here.
Yeah. I hope the vaccine is really effective, and this is going to be over in 1 year. I'm desperate, not because of not going out, seeing people. I'm desperate to travel. I'm really desperate to go abroad, to go to France, United States, and other countries, because for 2 years we are not traveling. 2 years,
Yeah.
no, 1 year. We are not. Last time I went to United States was 2019. I'm desperate.
Whoa, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah, a year and a half, and you don't
Yeah.
want us now. You don't want to see us.
It's a scary thing to be. I mean, you're going to get in a tube and you're going to be thrown across the sky with viruses potentially inside it. It's a scary thing, you know?
Yeah, it's scary. We all got COVID here at home in January. We've been
Mm,
through the virus. It was scary, but thanks God it was. We didn't have many symptoms.
mm.
Just tired. We were very tired, and I lost the ability to smell things for 3 days.
Oh, that's horrible for someone who loves food and flavors.
And perfumes. I'm crazy about perfumes, so it
Oh,
was tough. I was desperate. I thought, oh, maybe this is forever, but it was just for
oh.
3 days.
It must have been such a relief when that came back.
Ooh, you can imagine. Some people it lasts 6 months without.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I have a friend for 6 months. She couldn't taste, and she couldn't feel any kind of odors. She couldn't smell
oh
any.
man. I would have been freaking out myself.
It's freaking out,
Yeah, that's no bloody good. Goodness me.
But
So,
things are not the way that press show in Brazil. We are not
no.
dying like flies here. The problem is we have a crazy president. He does good things. He's a good president, but the press is against him, and they are trying to destroy him politically, spreading the news we are dying like flies. It's not true. It's really not true. So, but we are paying the price.
It's weird how the news is so skewed, though, isn't it? I mean, apparently they're saying, I mean, I've heard a lot about India as well, but, I've got friends in India who are kind of going, no, it's similar to the rest of the place. A lot of people saying Thailand's horrible, people in Thailand going, no, we're pretty much okay as well.
It's
Sounds
all
like
about
you're on the
politics.
same. Yeah.
It's all about politics and corruption because in Brazil, governors have the power to decide what they are going uh,
Mm,
in their states. And whenever they lock down, they are available to buy things, spend money with no competition. So it's all about corruption. It's all about money. It's not about people. It's never about people.
That seems to
That
be the way.
Yeah,
That
I
seems to
was
be the way.
talking to a friend from India. He told me here is just the same. It's all about politics. It's not about the people. People are not dying like that. It's
No.
not as scaring as the news are showing. But governors enjoy to spend thousands, billions of reais uh, in things. One governor bought expensive cars for the police, luxurious cars for the police with the money he was supposed to use in COVID. It's like that.
It's the same everywhere. Our country's the same. You know, we've got quite a good president at the moment. He's the best we've had since Nelson Mandela and since Thabo Mbeki were the first two after our apartheid thing ended. You know, Nelson Mandela brought us out of it, and then after him we had Thabo Mbeki. So after that we had a spate of very strange and chaotic presidents who spent money same way, you know, on fancy cars for this minister, that minister, backhands here, backhands there, expensive deals with businessmen. And it cost the country a lot of time and a lot of progress. I think it's just the same thing everywhere. The minute there's power, somebody wants to gain something from it.
Yes, we've been through the same problem in Brazil, 20 years of a very corrupt party and a very corrupt government. People, they turned people into illiterates so people could vote for them for the rest of their lives. And now, for the first time, we have a good president. He's a former military. The problem is he talks too much and he has the whole politicians against him. He has no political power. And the press is against him because he decided to collect money from the press for 20 years of not paying taxes. So it's a huge fight, huge fight. And the press is open. It's free for lower class people, and the poor just can have access to that kind of press. And press says what they want to build a new political leader that will support their cause of not paying billions in taxes. It's complicated. It's
Yeah.
complicated. I couldn't be a politician because I'm always think about what to do to improve other people's lives, and politicians are not about that. They're about money and power.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely. I have this mission in my life where I'm trying to push for a lot more empathy and a lot more like love. And I guess traditionally we think of those as like female energies, but you know, I was raised by really strong women. I saw the benefit of the way they operated and I saw the downsides. Because while I had very strong women in my life, I also had men who were in my family very strong, but in other people's families, like my friends' families, their mothers were the ones who held everything together. Their fathers were the alcoholics and the abusers and the crazy, chaotic energy. And the female energy was the one that was stable and dependable, but also creative and empathetic and inclusive and willing to listen. And so I would love more of those energies to just permeate more into business and then by extension into politics as well. But it's got to start somewhere, right? I mean, how?
Yes, yes, we are doing our part, I think.
Yeah.
If everybody think I can do my part, the world's going to be better in some way.
Yeah,
Uh, because we can't solve everything. We just
I
have to
agree.
solve some things and try to influence others to do the same. But I really hope for our countries that our good current governors can be in power for longer to improve our countries.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think it's important. Like you said, we're doing our part, and like we want to have the world become a better place. But I think it's so important for me to have conversations with people like you, just because, you know, you're in Brazil, I'm in South Africa. There are people, because it's a podcast, you could listen from anywhere in the world. And even if just two people hear this who really need the message that you have to give, that is a huge win because those people are getting the minerals from you that they need to become whoever they're dreaming of being, whoever they're striving to become. And that's an exciting thing.
What you are doing is amazing because I've been watching to your interviews, and you are interviewing people from many different areas that can be a good example for people, that can be a good influence.
Yeah. I want people to have exposure to these messages of hope, but also these messages that you have a choice. Like your life story is impressive and it's inspirational. But for me, the biggest inspiration from your story that you've told me today is the emphasis on choices. The way that you choose to wake up in the morning, that you choose to find at least some time in the day to find joy. You choose to become a lawyer, which is a hard thing to do. You choose to become an author, which is a hard thing to do. And you choose to come on podcasts and be open and honest, which is a hard thing to do. It's impressive and it's amazing. And all of those are choices that you've made. And I'm very grateful that you're making those choices.
Yes, and every day when we wake up, it's a day. The day is going to be about choices from the beginning. You are going to what we are going to wear that day. So it's all about choices all the time and consequences,
Yeah,
because we have to think about the consequences of our choices.
absolutely. It's a difficult place to be in, but it gives you, once you get good at it, it gives you a sense of freedom because like you said, you're living in that place of honesty and authenticity.
It's the only thing that is going to give you freedom if you are able to choose your own path in life.
Yes. That's a beautiful thing. Adriana, I want to just thank you so much for the work that you're doing and just please keep doing it. It's so important that you do it. And your body of work is growing. I'm going to put all the links to your website and your social media and everything in the description so people can just very quickly and easily click and follow you. I want
Thank
to
you
ask
for
you
the,
though,
thank you
what's
for the
the
opportunity, Yeti,
It's a pleasure.
because it's very important to spread my ideas, and you are allowing me to do that.
I wanted to ask you what is, the most important message that's on your heart? What is the one thing that you want to communicate with people?
Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. And if you believe in something, you have to do, and you can't give up on that.
It's a beautiful, beautiful one. I love
If
that.
you give up in your dreams, you're going to be giving up on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. It's so true, Adriana. I love that about you. I love that you go in and that you live your truth and that you're allowing other people to join you and learn from you and experience what that's like. It's a powerful journey.
Thank you, Yeti, and thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Adriana. Take care of yourself, and I'll chat to you
Take
soon. I'm going
care,
to be following you everywhere, and I suggest everyone else does that too.
and please send me the link. I'm going to spread it everywhere because you are a great interviewer. You are doing a great work.
Thank you so much, Adriana.